Hey guys, PrinceofMacedon here, and I'm doing a Rome Total War Online multiplayer commentary video. And this will be a Macedon versus Pontus battle. I command the Macedonians, and my opponent is TheProdigy in command of Pontus. And we are going to look at my army first. I got 6 royal pikes, 2 phalanx pikemen, 3 generals bodyguards, 6 regular archers, and 2 Cretan archers. And here's a close-up of my army, just in case you guys don't own this game. You guys might want to see what my troops look like up close. The guys in green are the Cretan archers. These guys right here with the pikes, with the smaller shields, are my phalanx pikemen. Those horsemen right there are my general's bodyguards. And that's my army. Oh, you can see my royal pikes. The royal pikes carry bigger shields than the phalanx pikemen. Now let's go look at my opponent's Pontus army. This is the army commanded by TheProdigy. And you can see there's something very fishy about his deployment. First off, he has very few troops visible, and secondly, he parked his army next to the tall grass. The tall grass is that gray area back there on the grass, and you can actually hide units back there. So let's look at his army. He has 4 Cappadocian cav, 3 are hidden, 2 sized chariots, which are both hidden, 5 regular archers, 1 Pontic light cav, that's them right there, and then he has 4 bronze pikemen, or 4 bronze shield pikemen, whatever. Alright, so I am moving forward here, and you can tell that my opponent wants me to go forward so that he can surprise me by unleashing units from the tall grass behind his army. But I was expecting that, but since I do model myself after Alexander the Great, I am going to come forward anyways and attack, and that is the only way to unravel my opponent's plan. Or, another course of action would be to just sit back and let my opponent come forward, and by doing so, that would force him to reveal his hidden units. But I'm not like that. I'm going to come forward anyways, and I'm going to attack him. So, on my front ranks I have my royal pikes, and in the back I have a mix of royal pikes and phalanx pikemen. And you'll notice that my opponent didn't bring any chariot archers, and I did not know he was going to do that. So I brought 6 regular archers and 2 Cretans, and that's the max amount of archers you can have for a CWB game. So on that account, my opponent did surprise me. So, look at his units. You can just see that his whole army isn't there. And plus, my opponent was sending tons of messages implying that his cav would have been weaker than mine. And he was saying this before he even saw my army. So I knew something was strange here, and I knew my opponent was up to something. Not to mention the fact that his army right now, it looks so freaking small. So I think when you're hiding troops, you should only hide 1 or 2 units, not like half your army. Because right now it's pretty obvious that he's hiding something. But as I said, I'm going to move forward anyways, regardless of what's going on, and regardless of what my opponent's planning. And I am going to advance methodically. I'm going to proceed with the skirmish phase. Starting with my regular archers and my Cretan archers, I'm going to move forward and take out my opponent's 5 archers. And my plan here is basically that if my opponent sees my huge archer advantage, then he will be forced to reveal the rest of his army. But that was my plan, but when I started to advance, I decided to just continue my advance and just attack him. So I kind of lost my patience. But before I lose my patience, I'm going to show you the build up here. Those are his 5 archers. And as I said, usually Pontus armies will feature like 2 chariot archers and the max amount of regular foot archers and whatnot. But my opponent was trying to trick me by using a more melee-style army as Pontus. And that can actually take a Macedonian player out if the Macedonian player doesn't play accordingly. And as I advance, my opponent, instead of targeting my foot archers, he's actually targeting my royal pikes. And typically you want to exchange fire with the enemy's archers, but I think in this scenario, my opponent wants to weaken the morale of my foot units so that he can use his superior cav later on to take out my main force of royal pikemen. Anyways, I took out one of my general's bodyguards. I'm out to harass his foot archers, but seeing him retreat his archers behind his pikes, I decided to take my general's bodyguard and put him back where he was. So now I'm going to shower his bronze shields with my archers, since his regular archers are backing off from the skirmish fight. And right here, my opponent makes a kind of a careless mistake here. He thinks my archers are transfixed on his foot archers, so he's going to take his Pontic light cav and try to smash into my archer line. And at the same time, I'm bringing up my royal pikes at the front. But as for his Pontic light cav, I easily switched my targets from his foot archers to his punting light cav, and that easily routed his punting light cav attack. So now I'm moving forward with my royal pikes. So easily I could have just sat back and used my archers to decimate my opponent's army, but as I said, I kind of lost my patience and I wanted to start the main battle. And plus, by starting the main fight now, that might force my opponent to reveal his hand sooner than what he's planning. Alright, now I'm launching this harassment on his flanks using my general's bodyguards here. See, I'm going to attack with my right. That's kind of a feint, but with my left, I'm going to strike. So it's kind of like a boxer. I'm going to lunge with my right, and then when he responds to my right, I'm going to strike with my left. And it's kind of like a boxer move. And finally, when he responds to my left, now I'm going to strike with my right. So I'm going to give him the 1-2, 1-2. And I was pretty sure at this point he would have taken his hidden units out, but my opponent obviously wants to maintain the secrecy of his army for as long as possible. But once I start to surround his general unit here, that's when he decides to take out 3 of his hidden units here, and those are his 3 Cappadocian cav units, and they're very heavily upgraded. I believe they are all gold, and he's going to smack into my general's bodyguard unit there. And at that point, I decided to give up on my left flank, and I'm going to move up my second line of pikemen. And my opponent goes right from my archer line. He sees that they're unprotected, and he splits some of his Cappadocian cav away from his main striking force. So he has 3 Cappadocian squadrons going after my archers, and then he has another one who have peeled off to strike my pikes from the other side. So now there's all kinds of ruckus, but my opponent still has 2 units hidden, and those are his side chariots. But yeah, all kinds of chaos happening right now. And I was able to maintain my organization, even though it doesn't look like it right now. And I'm using my pikes to deal with his Cappadocian cav, and I'm also using my general's bodyguard units to support my pikemen. And look at this moonwalk of my royal pikemen here. Look at that, they're walking backwards, and my opponent tries to attack him. He probably sees him walking one way, but he doesn't know my pikes are pointing right at him. And by the way, I have nothing to do with that. That is a glitch in the game that happens sometimes. And that's kind of unfortunate that it's a glitch, because in real life, well, at least historically speaking, you could actually do a retreat backwards with your pikes facing towards the enemy. Alright, so my opponent is crashing into the flanks of my pikesmen using his Cappadocian cav. So he's using hammer and anvil tactics on the center here. So it looks like the situation has gone 50-50. Over here my opponent got stuck in with my royal pikes, and that is a micromanagement lapse. But when he sees what he's doing there, he withdraws his Cappadocian cav, so he doesn't lose too many horses in that blunder right there. And at this point, my opponent decides to reveal all of his troops now. He has 2 side chariots, there's 1, and there's 2. And now he deems this the best time to unleash his final surprise attack on my army. And it's a very decisive moment, because he's striking into my pikemen as they are engaged with his bronze shields. So a very good time to unleash his hidden hand. But I still have some kind of semblance of order here, so I still have a game plan going myself, and I still have my pikemen, and they are operating at pretty efficient capacities right now. And now I'm using my archers to launch hammer and anvil strikes on his Cappadocian cav and also on his side chariots. And the reason why I'm using my archers in this capacity is because I'm afraid that if I just let them shoot at the enemy's cav and his chariots, then I'm pretty sure his guys will just smack into them and then rout them immediately. So if I'm going to lose my guys, I might as well use them with their blades. So now the situation is going back in my favor, because now his chariots and cav units are now stuck in a melee fight. In a prolonged melee fight, something that they do not want to do against foot units. He still has some bronze shield units, but they are pretty much outnumbered at this point. And that's because my opponent, TheProdigy, decided to go minimal on his pike units and decided to go heavy on his cav units, cav and chariot units. And in contrast to him, when I built my army, I went heavy on my foot units. And these are the last of his units here, and you can see his general right there. And my pikemen bring down his general, and now his general is dead. And the rest of his units are routing, and some of my units are routing. And that is the end of the battle. very good game to the Prodigy, and we are going to look at the results here in a second. There you go, is a clear victory. I killed 552 of his units, and I have 415 men remaining, and the Prodigy killed 485 of my units, and he had 46 men remaining. Anyways, a good game to my opponent. Hope you guys enjoyed this battle on the grassy flatlands.